actually prepared this right at the beginning of the year, and when I started practicing it, I noticed that it was going to take 4 hours. There is so much to show you. So what I did decide to do was cut it down to the 40 minutes, but try and focus on the things that I find most useful as a presenter. So let's get going. I will definitely answer questions towards the end, but this is what we are going to be talking about tonight, and it is all about using Zoom and presenting with Zoom. If you do stuff with Teams or with Google Meet, it might all be somewhat different. The very first thing I want to say is we are going to look at some tips and tricks when you are presenting yourself. Then secondly, we are going to look at some tips and tricks when somebody else is presenting, because mostly we just passively sit there and we can do all sorts of exciting things. And time permitting, there are some very clever things which I would like to show you. But first of all, and most important, do it on the app on your desktop if possible, or laptop. It half works on the phone, it half works on the web thing. The app is actually where it is. So if possible, do it on the app. Make sure you are always, and I'm going to repeat this, always on the latest version. If you can't see some of the clever things happening tonight, it possibly means you're either on the web, on your phone, or not on the latest version. If possible, have 2 screens. I have 3 screens, one with the audience on, one with the meeting, and then one with the actual PowerPoint. If it is something you're going to be doing a lot of, it is worth the investment. I am going to fly through here and quickly show you how to upgrade to the latest version. When you're on the app, you will see your beautiful profile picture in the top right. If you click on that, a drop-down list will open, and there is an option to check for updates. If you find, like I did even tonight, there's an update needed, and you can click on install. Very simple, and it doesn't take very long. Once you have upgraded, it will tell you it's updated when you go into the app the next time. Very important. It says discover what is new. Now, I am a complete and utter geek, so it's the first thing I do is go and see what's new in this version. It is all there, it's available. But what we want to do is actually focus on when you are presenting. Now, if you speak to any tech people, I'm very sorry Extian isn't here, but tech people can give you amazing solutions, but you would have to be an octopus because you're running Prezi, you've got your external camera on. I'm going to show you some of the things you can do in Zoom, because the best tech is the simplest tech. It really, really is. So I'm going to show you, once again, this opening slide, and I am going to show you different ways as the presenter that you could be dimming this. So this is the way you have always probably shared your screen, your stuff, but there are a whole lot more secrets available. So the first one is option 1 is the one we are currently looking at now, where basically you're a little talking head in the top right, and then there is the full slide. Now we have another option, which is called option 1, where you can actually pop up in front of your slides. This is 1 or 2 clicks. I did it on the fly while I'm busy talking to you. Now, another nice thing about this is I can move myself. I've just moved myself to the other side of the screen, and I can also make myself, which in life, I'm generally not trying to, much larger, so you can see the screen behind you, but you have absolute control. This is a built-in Zoom function. I am going to show you step by step how to do it. This is not difficult. So this is option 2, where you are kind of overlaid over the Zoom. Then the third option is very similar, except what it does this time is that it makes your Zoom screen a little bit smaller and you're kind of on the side. so your head or your body is not covering some of the stuff. Once again, you can also fiddle with this. So I'm going to make myself somewhat smaller, and I'm going to put myself in line with the presentation. So now it's kind of this kind of a head and the presentation. Most people find this kind of presenting more engaging, more interesting, more full of life. So and now I'm just going to demonstrate the fourth option to you. And this is where you actually see the person plus the presentation. This is also quite a nice option. It draws the spotlight to you as the presenter. What you will need to be aware of then, of course, is your slides should have minimal words, which they should have in any case. So what I've done, so these are the four options, was the normal option, the overlay, the kind of side, and then the two, which is what we're currently on. I have recorded my screen when I set this up to show you exactly how to do that. So don't get confused. I'm recording the screen, showing you how to do the options. After that, I'm actually going to do, I've got screen dumps showing you step by step by step as well. This is being recorded. It will be available on YouTube. I'm also happy to share the slide deck with the step-by-steps if that will help. So let's dive straight into the movie. The movie. Don't get confused. This is a recording showing my desktop when I am a presenter doing all sorts of different things. The sound might be a little bit low. Right, this is how I set up my screen when I am doing a presentation on Zoom. I open up my Zoom, I'm in a meeting, I do not make it full screen. I then open up the chat on the side, and the first thing I do is click this pop out for the chat, and I could move it to somewhere where I like. You can also stretch it wider or thinner or longer or taller. Then the next thing I do is I go to my PowerPoint and I open up my display settings. So I am in PowerPoint presenter view. I move my chat down here. It is not in the way of anything. I can see my slides. I move my meeting over here, and generally I'm ready to roll. All my controls are on this meeting. The next thing, of course, I want to do is I need to share my PowerPoint. So I click on the share. You're all used to doing this. You're either choosing screen 2 if you've got 2 screens, or simply clicking on your PowerPoint slide and you click share. Now, immediately you'll notice that I lose my meeting over here. If I hover up over this bar across the top, there's an option to show my meeting. So now I am really set up. I can see the meeting, I can see my presenter view, I can see my notes, I can see my current slide, I can see the slide that is coming up next, I can see any chats, and here are my controls for the slide. So now I can roll and I can keep changing my slides and be completely happy. One thing I often find people doing is asking, well, am I sharing my presenter view? Can you see my slides? What screen are you seeing? There, you can do this in Zoom so that you can absolutely control what they are seeing. So when you go to your screen sharing, you will notice there is a little down arrow over here. If you click on that, it will show you which slides are currently being in the meeting. You can drag this across here. So if I change any of my slides, if I'm going backwards on my slides, I can see exactly which slide is coming up. This is the slide that I was looking for, and I can simply press play and I can see the effect and exactly what is happening. And this is exactly what the participants are seeing on my second screen. Now there are 4 options to present in Zoom. And I have to say 99.5% of my time I see people only using the default option, which is the one we are currently doing now. How can we choose our other options? I always keep this open so I can be absolutely sure. I can also see which screen is here, but I'm sure I'm sharing the right screen. I can go back to my share button even while I am busy sharing. I don't have to stop sharing and restart. And can you see there's an option down here called layouts and options? When I click that on, it gives me layout options. It is currently on the default option, so when I click share, I can see it is sharing the entire slide deck. I can also click on the share across the top, and then I can try option 2, which is almost a overlay. And I must remember to click share. Now what happens with this one is, and you see I'm kind of overlaid on top of the slide. Also, when you're using this and you're moving across the slides, you can see exactly what is happening. Now, what other options do you have? If you click over this, you will see there is an edit button, exactly the same as if you click on share. Alternatively, if you click down here on the share, they all pretty much do the same thing. So if I click on the edit button and I can see where I am overlaid, I can move around to position myself somewhere else and say share. Now I can see what I look like. I'm now in this corner. As well as I can click on that and I could make myself a whole bunch bigger if I wanted to, and click share. And this is what it is going to look like for my participants. So that is option 2. It is almost an overlay. Let's have a look at option 3. Once again, we could do it at this share, or just with the edit button. Option 3, if you click on it, what it does is it makes your slide deck slightly smaller and you're on the side of it. I have exactly the same options. I could move this over here. I could move this. I could resize it. I could make it smaller, and I can simply click share. If I click this share button and I'm clicking on there, I can see exactly what I'm sharing. And here's my overlay. I could line it up at the bottom of the slide and say share, and then it is much tidier. This is an option that is completely up to you, how you want to do it. You could make yourself a lot bigger or move yourself to this corner, click on share, and I can see what it is going to look like. Now to go to the final one, if we click on this one, what it does is it will show me and it will show my slides. So when I click on share, this is what is going to be coming up onto the user's screen. If I'm clicking my next slide and my next slide, and you see my slides are changing and I am visible over here. One more thing I want to show you, you have wallpaper. I'm not crazy about the wallpaper, it doesn't work that well according to me. But if I click on this, can you see, you can still see me, you can see this sunset, and there you can see the slides and you can share it. It just makes everything much, much smaller. So I tend to not use the wallpaper option. So remember, there's this option, the default option, the one we are always used to. There is the overlay, and we can decide where we want to be and how big or how small we want to be. We simply click and drag. Then there is the option where it makes the slide deck slightly smaller, and you could play and position yourself next to the slide deck. And finally, you have these two sort of options. You simply click share. You can see exactly what the users can see. Once again, I have got my presenter view. I've got my current slide, I've got my next slide, I've got my notes if I have any. I've got my slide number, and this is where I can control my slides. I have popped out my chat to put it over here because it's not in the way. When I go to my screen sharing, I make sure I've turned my meeting on, and I have clicked this down arrow so I can see exactly what is going on in the meeting, and I have complete control. Okay, so unfortunately, you can't try that now because I am the presenter, but go and watch the video afterwards, go and try it. It's not a difficult thing to do. What I've also done, just to kind of try and make it a little bit more helpful, is doing a step-by-step screen dump of exactly what I did. Okay, so we click the share button as we normally and always have. What will pop up is this normal share, but here you will see there's something called layouts and options. There is a tiny little up arrow. Now, I want to tell you that Zoom often hides things in these little up or down arrows. If you ever see one, click it and have a look at what it's doing. So when you come in, it's normally defaulted, and that's why I don't think most people have even noticed it. So you click on that, and it's going to open up this second option over here. So then I'm choosing to present on screen 2. This is the default option that if you don't do anything will probably stay. Now, the nice thing about Zoom is if you chose one of these other options, next time you go in, it will stay on that particular option, which I quite like, that I don't have to keep setting it. Okay, so option 1 is the default, and it is this one. Also note, on this, you can share your sound and optimize for video sharing. Makes it pretty easy. You don't have to go and find it somewhere else. And if you click on option 2, this is the overlay, and I can see that I am on top of my slides simply by just clicking over here when I'm ready to share. This is not like running a Prezi where you've got 2 programs going and you have to try and share something. This is all in Zoom, and it's all when you do the sharing. So what I tend to do if I'm going to have a meeting is I go and set it up exactly as I want it. And then when I stop sharing and I come in again, all of this is set up and ready to roll. It doesn't forget. It doesn't go back to the default. It will also stay with this layout open, which is very nice. Okay, so this is option 2 where you've kind of got an overlay. And then we've got option 3 where it has kind of made your slides a little bit smaller, and then you can position, like we discussed, wherever you would like to be. So it's kind of besides. I move myself besides the slides. But remember, you've got control where you are, how big you are. The main thing is if you're going to use like the overlay or something, make sure that you're not covering something important in the slides. Just design your slides with the intention that, hey, the bottom right-hand corner, the top of my head is going to be sticking onto the slides. It is a much more engaging way to engage with your audience instead of this little talking mouth across the top. And then, of course, you've got where you have you in full and your slides in full. This is actually, I quite like this, but once again, because your slides are so much smaller, if you have one word on your slide or one figure or one something, works perfectly. Most of the big tech companies like Google and Microsoft, they have rules with presenting that you can only have one figure or minimum of 3 words. That's it. We're not reading from our slides for sure not. Okay, so those are kind of the views. Then there's the wallpaper. Yeah, I'm not convinced. It's fun. It's fun, but yeah. So then, of course, you can move it, like I was saying, and you can resize it to fit in with your screen and your slides. Most important, and also I find people don't know this, when they share their screen, it is this bright green thing telling you you are screen sharing. But what you need to note, once again, is a tiny little down arrow. Zoom, so from now on, if you see a little up arrow, down arrow, just hit it because it will open up a whole lot of new possibilities in your life. But when you hit that, what it does is it shows you exactly what your participants are seeing or exactly which screen you are sharing. So if by accident you shared the presenter view, you'll know, and you don't have to go at the beginning of a meeting, oh, can you see my screen? Oh my God, what am I sharing? For me, that's quite unprofessional because I'm losing confidence. Before you've even started your presentation, you are actually asking us tech stuff. As you can see, it's all on the share button. You can set it up beforehand. You can be completely confident. that you know exactly what you are sharing. And for me, that's important. I will always start a meeting at least half an hour earlier, set up all my shares, set up the screen like I showed you with my presentation view, my meeting view, my screen at the top. So I know exactly where I am in the world. Okay. And then remember, there's that little edit button. If for some reason you need to move to option 1, option 2, option 3, option 4, you simply click it here in the edit, and then you find one of your options, you click on it, you click share, and off you go again. So there are little sneaky things in Zoom, and it's good to know about them. But really, what I do think is important is that for very techie people, it's easy to have Prezi and have all these exciting other things. But if you're not 100% good on tech and you want to do a good presentation, keep it as simple as possible. If you can do it in Zoom, do it in Zoom. Absolutely, that would be. And I'm a techie person. I love playing with all sorts of things. But when I'm teaching people, I show them a practical, simple way that they can actually get on and do a better Zoom. Right, and this is this is your layouts when you press this little edit button that you can very quickly just click on any of them, and remember always to click the share button. So you get that view to see what's happening, but the users, the participants don't until you've clicked on share. Okay. So when you're presenting, try out these things. I like the overlay a lot. If I was going to use the overlay, I design my slides specifically. I also like the 2 on the screen. Hey, I also like the side-by-side, way better than any of the boring things that are happening. Okay. So when you get a moment, go and try these. You're clicking on the share button, you're clicking on the layout, and after that, you know what the 4 options will do. It really, for most people who are watching you, makes such a difference, especially because 99% of people don't do this because they don't know that like Zoom hides these things. Okay. Now, okay, so that was really my biggest tip for presenters. I'm going to come back with some more if we have time. But now, when someone else is presenting, the Zoom host and the presenter has very, very, very little control of your screen. You are the captain of your own ship. If they spotlight someone, you can change that. If they do whatever, you have got control. So what I'm going to do is I recorded a meeting with 3 people in the meeting. I was the host, we had a presenter, and we had a guest. I'm going to show you what you can do as when someone is presenting. I'm going to show you the movie of where I recorded it. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my slides, and you can all go crazy and try it out on your own screen while I am sharing this PowerPoint. So whenever someone is presenting, I set up my own screen for optimal viewing for myself. Okay, so let's have a look at this. You will see there were very, very interesting people in this particular meeting, but it was the only way I could set it up. In this video, I want to show you how you can control and set up your own screen if somebody else is sharing a PowerPoint. So I have our presenter, I have myself who is the host, and I do have a guest. So now our presenter is going to share his screen, and this is a view you may be used to seeing. So across the top we have the participants in the meeting, and in the middle is the slide. Now you have a whole lot of control and options of your own particular screen. So let's have a look. If we go to the view, which is in the top right hand corner, we could choose side-by-side speaker, side-by-side gallery, side-by-side multi-speaker. So for now, let's choose the side-by-side gallery. You can change these at any time. Now what you see is all the participants, and if there are more than 3, you will have up and down arrows, so you could scroll through the participants, and you have the slide on the side. If you click on view again and go to standard, this is when you will see the participants across the top. I generally prefer the side view. Now when we're looking at this, can you notice right over here where my mouse is, there are 2 kind of stripes or bars. As I move my own mouse on my own screen from the slide to where the participants are, I can get this gray line to come up. What this allows me to do is change the proportion of my own screen that the participants take up, or the slide deck from the other person who is sharing. I simply click on these bars and drag this gray line across. I can of course drag it so far that the slides are really tiny and the participants are huge. Once again, I can click and drag right across to where the slide takes up the biggest proportion of the screen and the participants are as small as possible. Or I can move it to a comfortable thing where I have a great view of the slide as well as the participants. Nobody else can see what you're doing. The host can't see. This is your control of how you want to set up your own personal Zoom screen. What else could we do? If you have a look, we have a meeting and a presenter screen. You can see we are currently on the presenter screen. If I click onto the meeting, it will just take me back to the meeting. If I click on the presenter screen, we have gone back to what we were, however we had set it up before. So I'm going to get the presenter to change a slide. Now, this is the presenter slide. We might want to look at this somewhat differently. If we go to the presenter screen, you'll see there is an ellipsis. And if you click on that, you can see the current zoom ratio is fit to window. We could make it 50% smaller if we did like. And then can you see the slide is taking up a whole less size in our window. If we click again, we could make our zoom ratio 300%, which means that the slide is huge. I could control what I wanted to see. Can you see I have a little hand coming up here? I can click and pull this slide around on my own window until I find what I am looking for. I want to see the number plate. So now, regardless of what the presenter is doing, I have enlarged the slide and I am clicking and dragging to see particular details. If I click once again on this ellipsis, I could follow the presenter's pointer. So if the presenter is sharing interesting things and talking about it, so let's try that. We're going to follow the presenter's pointer. The presenter is now moving to show the lights, and he is talking about these lights. Then perhaps he is showing the logo, not very great on the photograph. Windscreen wipers, even the window. But this way, as the presenter is talking about things, we could follow their pointer. And these are options that are available to us that affect nobody else. Remember, if I turn my follow presenter's pointer off, I would have to click and pull this slide to see what details I want to see. This will work on any slide. Over here, I might want to have the writing really big on my slide. I generally find I use the fit to window, but every so often there's something that I do want to look at. So rotate a screen of your zoom ratio. These are the different options, and if you do choose 300%, go back in there and you could follow the presenter's pointer if you wanted to. So just to show you once again, if you click on view, you can go to the standard view. It's a standard control, nothing different, and a lot of people watch in this view. If you click on the view, we are going to choose side-by-side speaker this time. We only see the person who is speaking. We can use our dragging to change the proportion of the speaker or the slide. This is for our eyes only. Remember also we can click back onto the meeting. This is the presenter, and we could click back onto the presenter's slide. So we have control of our own screen when someone is presenting. Okay, so I have made a very busy slide for you. If you want to try and make it 300% and just pull it around just to get a feel, also try and do it side-by-side speaker or side-by-side gallery, and try and drag that gray line across so you can change the proportions. Remember, this affects nobody but your own screen, regardless of what the host has done. They've spotlighted someone and they have done whatever. This is your computer, your screen. You set it up for optimal viewing for yourself. If you like, I could, if you want to put it onto the 300 and follow the presenter's mouse, I'm kind of circulating all of the people who were perhaps dressed in yellow or green. I don't use the 300% very often. Sometimes there's tiny writing and I do. But it's just good to know. I like the proportion. I tend to make the slides smaller because I want to see the people. And most presentations I'm watching, people haven't used the overlay, because if they did the overlay, I wouldn't have to bother so much on my own side. Okay. Are you managing to get the proportions to slide across and click on either the meeting or on the presenter view, and you can just jump between whatever is happening. Maybe you don't like the slides and you want to watch what's happening in the meeting. You click on the meeting in the top left-hand corner. Okay, so remember, you're the captain of your ship, regardless of what the host or the presenter is doing. But if you are the presenter, well, you know, Lorraine, you can't have remote control of my screen. I am declining, but thank you for the offer. So yes, you could let other people control the screen, because sometimes you might have the slideshow and you want them to click and move through it. Okay, so this is really to give you a feel of what you can do, but more important for me is if you are the presenter, that you can go into overlay mode or the 2, which makes it much more comfortable and engaging for your users. I just want to show you, when you go into share mode, we are normally on the screens. If you click on the advanced mode, there are some very nice things here. If you are playing your music from Spotify, all you need to do is click on computer audio and then on share, and then you can share whatever music is coming through your speakers. If you're going to share a video that is not embedded into a PowerPoint, this is where you would come, and it really optimizes the video showing for you. But I don't know if any of you know that you can actually share your iPad or your iPhone, and I'm going to quickly show you how you could do this, because it can sometimes, depending on what you're training or what you are doing, it could be very, very interesting. So it takes a couple of seconds to actually find itself. And unfortunately, if you are Android, this is not going to happen. But I'm sometimes training people on things to do on their phone, like how to set up this, that, or the next thing. Now, so you can see in front of you exactly what is on my phone. So it came up, I had to click on screen mirroring, and choose Zoom Terry. What I can do is I can put my camera on, and now I'm going to show you my setup. So here is where I see generally the audience. Here is my big screen that has all my controls set up. And then here is my PowerPoint and everything that I am showing. So the technology works. You've just got to click and simply do it. I sometimes train in LinkedIn, and I could open up my LinkedIn and see exactly what is happening. Of course, be careful. Whatever you are clicking on, I am clicking on, I went to a concert at Kirstenbosch, and here are the pictures. And then simply when I'm done with that, I go back to my mirroring, and then I just say stop mirroring, or even on your computer, you could just do stop the share. So this is easy. It really, 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 really works seamlessly. So absolutely know about that. Use it. It can make your meetings actually quite interesting. I have 2 more slides, and then I'm going to open it up for questions. Just trying to get back to my, I'm going to stop sharing for 1 second, because once I've done that, I kind of get a little bit lost. Who's in my screen? Chantal. Okay, so I am going to go back to share my second screen. And as I prefer and like to do, I would set it up generally to be the overlay, because I quite like that. Okay, so just have a look under advanced. There's all sorts of things under document we didn't have time to get to today. Another big thing that you can use is going into the apps. There are literally hundreds and hundreds of apps which are embedded into Zoom. Some of them you have to pay for, some of them you get free, whatever, for a few times. So here is the apps. Over here, you would click on that. And then these are my apps. So there's name tags and there's overlays, a little bit like what you are looking for in Prezi. It can put your name, etc. up there. You can play music. And of course, there are a whole lot of virtual backgrounds and timers. They are literally, go and read through all these apps. It's really interesting. Kahoot is like a little online quiz that shows the marks. I don't know, there's the timer that I use, there's note takers, there's all, I mean, this is one screen, there's about 30 to go through. So for my final slide, if you have your smartphone on you, you can point it at this QR code and you can answer this question: did you learn something new? If not, you're on the web, you can type in slido.com and type in this number and it will give you the quiz. This is a way of engaging your audience, because as people start answering it, can you see it's showing it on my screen? So one person has 3 people have answered, they've 100% have answered, hell yeah. So when you're looking to engage your people, use tools. So this tool is called Slido. It embeds itself into PowerPoint. And what it does is it shares the updates. So I can see in this top corner here, 16 people have answered this poll. 81% learned something, some 19% said I knew some, I learned some. But when you're showing the poll results, you will see in Slido, you can do word clouds, you can do all sorts of clever things, but it makes the engagement much better because people can see the results as they do it. So I know there are a whole bunch of people in the room, but we only have timer. And on that note, so at least 80% of you learned something. I'm going to stop sharing. And literally, we have some time for questions. I didn't look in the chat. This, as I said, will be on YouTube. We will be famous. I'm happy to share those slides, especially the screen dumps. But my biggest tip is, if there's a little up arrow, hit it and see what it can do. Okay. Let me just have a quick look in the chat.
Amazing, Terry. Amazing. So I've been having a look. We've got Marie saying that PSASA is promoting Mac and Apple, which is very valid.
I'm on Windows. I use an Apple.
I think a number of people need to, like myself, update Zoom. We can't see all that latest functionalities you were showing there when it comes to changing your own screens. But I know we did have, I think, Mr. Negrini, you had your hand up. Have you got a question?
When sharing computer
I just dropped it in the chat as well.
Yeah.
Just if you are sharing your sound, you just need to close all your other apps. Otherwise, people are hearing your email coming through, and everybody else is looking for the emails, and then it's actually yours that's coming through.
I must say, when I'm doing something like this, I close every single app except for Zoom and PowerPoint. Everything is shut. I even go into my settings and turn off notifications because it happens too much. I'm talking and up pops a flippant email, so I just shut it down. And as I said, this could have been a 4-hour session. There is a lot, but instead of rushing out and buying all these more expensive tools, learn Zoom if you're going to use the Zoom. Teams is not quite, I do a lot of stuff in Teams because I train corporates. It's not quite there yet, getting there, but then you go to like Google Meet and more challenging. But yeah.
We have a hand up. Kebidone, welcome.
Yeah, thank you. I was just wondering, Terry, if you could see the chat while you are presenting.
Yes. Right at the beginning, if you watch that video again, when I set up my screen initially, I set up my meeting screen here, my PowerPoint presenter here, and then I popped my chat out and I pulled it in so I could see everything in one go. I have quite a wide screen, but I like to keep an eye on the chat. But watch the video again, and right in the beginning, I show how I set up my own screen. And I generally have the chat, the PowerPoint presenter, the meeting, and seeing what slide they are seeing. That's how I do it.
Thank you, Terry. I love that. Thank you so much. Learned so much. And I kind of want to know, because do you have any tricks to help us to get your client who wants to have the Microsoft Teams presentation? Do you have negotiation tips on how you get them onto Zoom so you can do all these cool things?
You know what? I don't argue with corporates. They have policies in place. They are part of the Microsoft. They are terrified of China. They won't touch Zoom. So even though I could present in Zoom and they could go into the web app, I just do it in Microsoft Teams. All of these things are very similar. And they've got some things where you can embed it, et cetera, et cetera. Honestly, I would say to you, don't argue with corporate. They have their security policies in place. If I was still employed in IT, I would say no to Zoom, but because I'm a freelance, I can enjoy Zoom. Absolutely, yeah. Perfect.
There is a question from Melanie. Can I record without my name showing at the bottom of the screen?
Oh, yes, you can. Now that is a setting that says, do not show names on the screen. And let me just find it. And I think it's under recording. Display. Okay, so if you click next to your video in the bottom left-hand corner, there's a little up arrow. If you click on that and go to recording, so there's general video, blah, 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 and recording. And then there's a tick box that says display participant's name in the recording. So you can just click that off and it won't show any names.
Amazing.
Amazing. Cool.
We've got Yale with a hand up. If it's a 10-second question, because we're on time exactly. We got a quick one for the final.
It is. It is. So I'm doing a virtual keynote on Thursday, and they've got a platform. It's a US platform called Social Live. I was wondering if you've heard about it.
No, unfortunately not. You know, there are actually so many out there. I do a lot of talks overseas, and every single time I do one, it's a different platform. So yeah, what you should try and do is get on there and practice it before, 100%, so you feel comfortable. Like you would go to a talk earlier and feel the room, test the mic, I would say 100%. Tell them the day before to set up a meeting and just let you play.
I did that. I did that, and it was so possible. Yeah, so that.
Yeah, I mean, it's
challenging.
Yeah, and also if you're fumbling with your tech, people lose confidence. 100%. That's how we are as human beings. You've got to be sharp.
Thank you.
And on that note, the sharpest person in the room, please give her a huge round of applause. Massive gratitude, shaking, sending up stars and all those things that you can do on your screen there. Terry, you're a superstar. We appreciate you. I'm definitely going to be watching that recording, so keep an eye out for that. It will be flighted on the PSASA YouTube channel.